So, where do dreams come from? And there's a quote that I love from the book of Job, and it says, "When man sleeps, God opens his ears and whispers his instructions." So that's one theory, and that's the one that we work with when we're working with dream interpretation, is that the dreams are being sent to us from another source, an outside source, a higher power. But I want to touch on the history of dream theory first. Before we get into how can we interpret our dreams, we need to recognize that dreams have been interpreted throughout time. Um, there's stories of Egyptians using their dreams for interpretation, for guidance, for wisdom. There's history again back to the Bible. And when Pontius Pilate was told by his wife that if he was to crucify Jesus, something horrible would happen. And that again comes from her receiving dream messages from her gods, from the souls, that source energy that was providing her with information to tell her that this was a really bad plan and that things weren't going to work out the way that they thought if this was to be done. And this goes on all through history. There's sources of um, the Egyptians using their dreams to be recorded in hieroglyphics. And during the Middle Ages, dreams were interpreted as beings coming from someplace evil. So it had been switched up. It was no longer the dreams are coming from the higher power, but dreams, and I guess this goes with the witch thing being evil and being able to prophesize or to connect with our dreams and gain information. Of course, the Puritans decided that was another form of evil. Aristotle believed that dreams were a result of physiological functions and that those dreams could tell us about particular diseases. Now, I myself recently had a dream where in my dream, I was asked actually, did I have any cumin? And I was like, yeah, I have cumin in the cupboard. When I woke up, I waited a couple of days and then I decided I would look up what cumin meant. And of course, we have this opportunity to research now on Google to research all sorts of things. So I looked up the healing properties and found that it was addressing several of my own physical needs in digestion and antioxidants. And so I actually incorporated it into my diet because that's one thing we need to do. We need to follow through on the information we receive. If we ignore it, then the guides that are sending it to us are kind of going to stop. They're going to be like, well, they're not paying attention to me. I'm going to go on and work with someone else. So these ideas are all cumulative. So some of the theories that have developed in the last 200 years or so, one of these is Freud's theory that dreams are wish fulfillment. So we act out our desires in our dreams. So Sigmund Freud believed that we might have a fear of acting on what we really desired in our dreams. We can act that out. We can experience that. So something that we have a fear of experiencing in life, we may experience in our dreams. And we can take that a little bit further because sometimes a violent dream is a desire for violence or for punishment, a feeling that we need to be punished. And this was what he determined was the reason for nightmares, was that people thought they were bad and they needed that punishment. And so rather than receiving that punishment here, they received the punishment in their dreams. Carl Jung, who was a contemporary of Freud's, his belief was that the dreams had disguised meaning, that they were an expression of the mind itself. And so that your dreams actually contain languages and symbols that were based on what you already knew, based on what your mind already knew. And they could provide information for the future, such as my dream telling me to use cumin, or Pontius Pilate's wife dream telling him that there would be something negative would come of the crucifixion. So there's the prophesying dreams that Jung believed that was one of the functions, and that the other was to compensate for imbalances in the psyche. So the person might be stuffing down a lot of aspects of themselves. So we come back to Freud, and that's the agreement that they're acting out desires. So because they're not fully living in the expression of who they are, they're acting out their desires in their dreams. Now, Alan Hobson and Robert McCarley, they believed that dreams were electrical signals that pass through in the sleep, and that these signals were just, the dreams were just a side effect of the electrical signals. Now, if we take that a little bit further, we do suggest not sleeping with electronics in your room. There are some people who would say unplug your Wi-Fi, because now we have electrical signals going all over the place. Everywhere we're going, where there's electrical signals, electromagnetic signals. And we've learned that people who use psychic energy are receiving a lot more electromagnetic energy when you're receiving information. So this idea, this theory is responsible for 5 of the common characteristics of dreams, and that's illogical content, things that don't make sense, intense emotions. We can feel much more intense emotions in our dreams without affecting our bodies. So sometimes, you know, if you're frozen with fear, you may find that that's going to have an effect on your body. You could have a heart attack. You won't have that in your dreams. Acceptance of strange content is really suspension of disbelief. So like was talked about earlier in the course, it's possible that you have dreams about things that wouldn't possibly happen in real life. Sensory experiences. This is really important with dream interpretation. It's important that you're not only focused on your visual senses, you can smell, you can taste, you can hear in your dreams. And so it's really important to apply all of those theories as well. And the other one is Revensow. And Revensow says that dreams are a threat stimulation, so that we're practicing, that fight or flight mode comes in because we're practicing for future threats. So the theory is that we're acting it out so that we'll be prepared for something that's to come. And those are some of the theories. There's also the opportunity. There's people who believe now, and it's been proven that we can use all of this. The threat simulation is actually something that we can repurpose, and we can put it into practice by saying, I can use my dream to practice for a lot of things. So sports athletes use their dreams to practice their sports. And it's been proven that as they dream about playing better, they play better. We can use our dreams to practice acceptance. So these are some of the theories, some of the places where dreams come from. I'm going to continue on with the course on how can I use that to interpret my dreams so I can get stronger messages and make sure that I'm receiving the dreams that are being sent for me. Thank you very much, and we'll move on to the next lesson.